Quite a few people have been contacting me over the last couple of weeks as I've shared the dam levels, and people see and feel the dryness around them, and they go, why is the city not instituting water restrictions, or why is the city not acting more aggressively to message to people that they need to be more water wise than they are? And we asked for an interview and were told that the MACO member in charge, Zahid Badruddin, is overseas for a summit, and sent us a statement saying that they monitor dam levels and water use very closely. Oh, well, that's fantastic. 2025 has been a below average rainfall, really? And they are, as I've said on a couple of weeks, the weekly water dashboard shifting to an early drought caution. Does not mean a drought is confirmed, but it indicates signals of a possible drought cycle. It allows the city to prepare early by activating internal response committees, prioritizing repairs and maintenance, and working closely with the National Department of Water and Sanitation. To stay ahead of risk as we enter the hot summer months, the city is encouraging residents and businesses to keep collective water use below 950 million litres per day. We haven't done that for the last 4 weeks. And if we do stay within the target and we have average winter rainfall next year, the city will remain in a stable position. Those are two big ifs. And dam levels on the 1st of November were above 80%, and typically the Department of Water and Sanitation would only consider implementing restrictions when system levels fall below 80%. DWS is currently undertaking the annual analysis of the system, and we await the outcome of this analysis, and reminds residents that some water restrictions are permanently in place, no matter what else is happening. And I have those in front of me. Watering only allowed before 9 and after 6 in the evening. Must have a spray nozzle or automatic self-closing device. Automatic sprinkler systems must be able to be correctly positioned. Hose pipes used for washing vehicles, boats, etc. must be fitted with automatic self-closing device. No hosing down of hard-surfaced areas. Maximum flow rate of new and replaced shower heads may not exceed 7 litres per minute. Maximum flow rate of any tap installed at a wash basin may not exceed 6 litres per minute. I mean, they can't enforce these things, and I don't know to what extent these things are being observed. All swimming pools must be covered by a pool cover to avoid evaporation when not in use. About 6 weeks ago, I did a helicopter trip around the peninsula, and I saw many thousands of swimming pools without covers on. Kevin Winter of UCT's Future Water Institute joins us now. Kevin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John.
Do you think the city should be more aggressive with its messaging than the occasional media release which they issue when somebody like me asks for one? Do you think they should be thinking seriously about asking DWS to implement water restrictions, or do you think we can not relax, but we can wait a while before we start to get unrelaxed?
Yeah, John, I think you've said lots already, which is really important. And you've highlighted two things. One is that we're well over the average total amount of water that's used per day, which is 950. We're now sitting at around about 975, 980. And the other big headline that you mentioned too, that our dam levels have reached a point where, in fact, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be at the drought response level, so 80%. And from there on, the envelope, the windows for each of these changes is actually quite small, right down to eventually 60% when we get to what we were in the November of 2015. Probably people can't even remember that, but that was the start of the day zero. And we reacted far too late for that particular warning that came, and we endured from 2018 over that current year to early 2019. But I think this early warning, which we already have got, we're almost there. Give us 2 weeks, because our dams are lowering at about 1.5 to 1.7% each week. And so the 80% will be arrived at within the next 2 weeks. And let's hope that both DWS and the city starts to actually make a much bigger noise about it.
And in the beginning, is the noise primarily about adhering to the requests and the restrictions which are permanently in place? And you see if that works for a while, and if that doesn't, then you try something else in the way of restricting rather than asking?
Well, I think as you read out a very comprehensive list, I'd be very interested to know whether the public were even aware of those current restrictions in place.
So I'll be honest, Kevin, I wasn't. I thought they'd been lifted.
Absolutely. They will say, if you go and inquire, you'll see that there are no restrictions in place. But when you look at the bylaws, things like shower heads, for instance, and time of watering, I don't think people are aware of that at all. And so that is the first port of call for me, that we need to make people much more aware of the irrigation systems, the pool covers, and the kind of things we mentioned earlier on, because those are certainly going to be taking a lot of our water. But let me just raise another thing. It's really important. We sort of blame ourselves that we are the main users at this stage as domestic households and industry in the city. Have you noticed how windy our October began? Our windiest months are October through to March, but I wonder how many days we already have when the wind is reaching 20 knots or more, and that has a major effect on the evaporation of our dams. And I think this is a wake-up call in terms of, is this maybe where some of the climate change is occurring, or nothing more than just a very strong high-pressure system that is off our south and west coast area that is blowing across and actually removing our water. And that's why your warning earlier on is you need to get pool covers on if you're starting to use clean water, municipal water to fill the pools and so on, if you have those things, and also be much more careful about the irrigation. But I think the city is going to have to come alive, and given 2 weeks, that drought response is going to have to be in place. And hopefully we're going to see the city respond, as well as DWS, to what could be an early warning, and we need to deal with it before we get to what was called Day Zero in 2018.
There are already stepped up levels. The more you use, the more you pay. Is that an area that they could look to strengthen? And again, if people are so upset about the new rates and tariffs, the cleaning tariffs, about how much they pay for electricity, and I don't know that the city makes its decisions entirely on economic grounds, but how much are you prepared to upset your voters by making them pay more and allowing them to use less water? Do you think that factors into, because it's something that comes up regularly. It's already come up 3 times from listeners in the time that you and I have been chatting. The city's not going to want to stop too much water use because they make money out of people using water.
Well, I think we'd all probably like to take a more cynical view of that. And certainly tariffs, when it starts to hit your pocket, you certainly do. And we've seen that model of the economic pocket-hitting process affect the water's consumption a great deal, and has certainly been to its benefit when we were in the crisis. I think that, and I sit on one of these committees, and I've got to know some of the senior personnel in the city of Cape Town. I think there's a lot more responsibility and accountability that they are in having to show. I think they are not keeping a blind eye to the fact that water is our most important resource in the city, and that the management of this is absolutely crucial. Their eyes are on the models that I've referred to, and you earlier on as well. I think there's more to it than just simply an economic issue here, and also a sense of there's a political election happening next year, and let's not upset the voters. We cannot upset, in fact, the economy if our water starts to get restricted and affects our tourism season and everyone's enjoyment over holiday periods. So it's a really important the city reacts early on and starts to put in a series of restrictions, and those may include the changes of those tariffs so that water becomes seen as a much more precious commodity.
Thank you very much to Kevin Winter of UCT's Future Water Institute. So 2 weeks' time, I'll keep a mental note of that, and in 2 weeks' time check with DWS and or the city to find out whether there are any new restrictions coming in.